Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by PagerDuty. PagerDuty decreases alerting noise for IT operations and developers to ensure that the right engineers are notified at the right time. Increase your uptime and sign up for a 14-day free trial at pagerduty.com/twit. And by NatureBox. NatureBox ships great tasting snacks right to your door. Start snacking smarter with wholesome, delicious treats like agave citrus granola. To get your complimentary NatureBox sampler, visit naturebox.com/twit. That's naturebox.com/twit. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of All About Android, episode 187, recorded on Tuesday, November 11th, 2014. We are your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Ron Richards.
No Gina today. Her family has been stricken with a cold or something.
The plague has hit Brooklyn, and they are doing their best. We send them good wishes. We hope, This
is the beginning, isn't it?
It's the winter.
This is the beginning of the cold season, flu season.
Can I tell
We're
you?
all going to be dropping.
Can I tell you the temperature in San Francisco dropped below 60 this weekend, and it was freezing.
Below 60.
I did not know.
Horrible.
I was getting the shovel out. I was getting ready for it. So I can't even imagine what it's like in New York right now. So Gina,
I don't want to imagine.
We hope everyone at home gets well, and we'll see you next week.
We have joining us in Gina's place, not one, but two awesome people.
We doubled down.
That's right, we did. First up, Phil Nickinson, editor, Android Central. We haven't had you on in quite a while. It's good to have you back.
And I've never been here live in person.
I was going to say, I didn't think we've ever been to the table.
It's really, really good to see Ron, actually. It's good to see you.
All right. The feeling's mutual. You guys are actually here for Android Central is here covering the Samsung Developers Conference.
It is all things Samsung this week, or at least for the next couple days. So it's going to be interesting to see what we have. And I don't know. I'm floored by the amount of teasing we're going to see this week.
Teasing?
Put it that way. Or Tizen.
I'm getting used to this Tizen pronunciation.
Can we just flip for it and decide?
Sure. No, I actually like it. I think it's kind of appropriate. Yeah. And also welcoming back, not a month later after since your last appearance, Matteo Doni, test engineer at Skyscanner. How you doing?
Very well, thanks. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Excellent.
In the studio, actually here, not a horrific time zone difference Skype call, right? where Jason's like, so what time is it there anyway? Oh, it's about 3 in the morning.
I feel like I'm going to die. It's okay.
It's fine. I'm just jet lagged this time.
Okay, all right. So when did you arrive then? You probably haven't adjusted at this point.
I arrived yesterday evening.
So it really is still that time for you.
Yeah.
If you go into like a narcoleptic fit in the middle,
we understand.
Yeah,
we understand. We forgive you, and it'll totally make the best of at the end of the year.
Thank you.
So we're excited to be here. 4 people in studio. I think the last time we did this was New Year's Eve. We don't normally have this many people in studio for this show. So it should be a lot of fun. We have a lot of things to discuss this week. We've got the Nexus 9, we've got the Nexus 6, both of those in-house, by the way. We also have the Amazon Echo. I wish we had that in-house, but we don't.
Do you? We'll talk about it.
No, I do. I really want to see that.
Well, yeah.
It's hilarious, if anything. Some new features coming with Android Wear 5.0, Microsoft's free Office suite for Android coming soon as well, the reemergence of SD card support in Android, and so much more. Lots to talk about, so why not get right to the news?
A big thanks goes out to all our veterans out there. 9 out of 10 agree Hitler's a bad apple. Now it's time for Android news.
What did Hitler's a bad what? What did he say?
He's a bad apple.
Oh, I heard something else.
A bad app developer?
Yeah, a bad app developer. That Hitler just making apps that crash all the time.
Of course. I've stopped downloading and buying that developer's apps because,
It's just the swastika on the logo all the time. I mean,
who knew? It would never pick up.
Monty Python references coming up.
So let's see here. So first things first. I feel like this has kind of been bubbling the last couple of days, right? We're kind of at that point to where Lollipop should supposedly be rolling out to Nexus devices. And then we start hearing, oh no, we're aghast because supposedly the Moto X 2014 edition phone is already encountering its soak test for Lollipop, which means that the Moto X might get Lollipop before Nexus devices do. And then on top of that, LG is starting to roll out its upgrade to Lollipop this week in Poland, starting in Poland. Opening it up, but still technically.
Why do you say it like that? What's wrong with Poland?
There's totally a joke there,
and opening it up. It seems.
Oh, God, I didn't make the joke.
Go for it.
I don't know. Something about a screen door.
Don't mention the war. Don't mention the war.
Yeah, let's not. Particularly not on today's episode.
How are your European numbers these days, by the way? I'm just
I think
curious.
they're okay. You know, honestly, I have no idea. All I'm saying is that both of them are coming out with Lollipop before Nexus devices have their chance, possibly.
Maybe.
It hasn't really happened yet, although it sounds like it's starting to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we need to back up a little bit. I get that there's a lot of hurt out there that Nexus
There's
devices,
a lot of
hurt out there. The Nexus devices might not get the updates first, but even if it's a day later or 2 days later, first off, these are different devices. Right. And I get that. That used to be the purpose, the reason you got a Nexus phone was you're going to get these updates quickly and you were assured to get them. You're still going to get them. You're still going to get them quickly. But is all these other phones getting updates quickly, which is what we've all wanted? Why is that a bad thing all of a sudden?
Because I want it now. Because
Exactly.
I have a Nexus phone and I want it now. I mean, like, that's the thing is that, like, do we have a clear date when it's being rolled out to the Nexus yet? Last I heard, it was supposed to be last week. Now it's supposed to be, it was supposed to be November 12th. That's tomorrow. Then I saw it's going to be next year.
Where did that date come from?
Right, exactly. I don't know. Yeah.
So now, I mean, it's coming. It's going to come to everybody, and it's going to come faster than it ever has before. That is a good thing.
Agreed. Except I want mine now.
Right.
Yeah, I think what it boils down to is, yes, people want all devices to be updated as quickly as possible, as long as it comes to me first.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
as long as there's one other person who has something before I get it, I'm going to complain in the comments.
Is it
on Twitter or on Google Plus?
I own a Nexus. I should have Lollipop.
Did you just make that, Bryan?
He's too good.
Wow.
As a tester, on the other hand, I understand why all the manufacturers are doing these soak tests. Essentially, they're doing some real live testing on limited markets, limited number of devices. They may actually take longer to actually release it to the general public because this is a giant bug test.
The soak tests are a really good thing for that reason. And also, it helps them get it out quicker, but it helps them identify any of those show-stopping bugs at the last minute. We've seen that these soak tests are very last-minute tests. I've gotten a soak test. I'm sorry. If I were in the soak program and had I gotten a soak test, I've seen the soak test come out almost immediately at the same time as the public release, and that's probably an aberration. But yeah, I mean, these are really good things, and I kind of hate to see that one of the Moto X soak tests apparently leaked out in OTA form somehow. And the nerd in me says, yes, I must download it now and put it on. That's awesome. And then the old man dad in me is like, oh, God, they're going to spoil it for everybody. And I really don't want to see that happen to soak tests. I think they're excellent to have, and I would love to see more manufacturers do it. But at the same time, and we've had this problem with the developer previews, right? It's awesome we had developer previews, but these are developer previews. They're not public beta. Even though it's publicly available, those are two very different things.
And how much A/B testing is going on within those same soak tests.
And actually, we know off the record that there is, especially with the Moto X, there is some A/B testing going on.
Yeah,
interesting.
Is there a little bit of Nexus entitlement happening right now?
No, there's a lot of it.
Excellent. I mean, because this is not the only thing that I'm referring to. Of course, there's the price aspect of the new devices, where there's been a lot of kind of, of Nexus purists, a lot of backlash to the fact that, hey, why are these more expensive? Nexus devices are supposed to be inexpensive. We're supposed to get all of our updates faster than anybody else.
And I think it's important to remember somebody in my position who has a lot of these phones that I can easily say, all right, my Nexus doesn't get it right away. These other phones do. It's not the end of the world.
So you get it in some form.
But if this is your only phone and you paid your hard-earned money, what is it, $350, $400?
About, yeah.
If you paid that money
several times,
because did you break it?
Yeah. No, they replaced it. They replaced it. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, and I get it. If you paid your hard-earned money for this phone that's supposed to get the updates faster than anybody else, you are absolutely going to demand it. And I get that, and that's not wrong. But I think we have to look at the bigger picture, and that is all these phones getting updates, even if it's not in the first week. I'd be fine if it was in the first month. Let's get them out there, get them right, and that rising tide is just going to lift all the boats.
It's hard not to get antsy.
Absolutely.
Like, it totally is hard not to get antsy when you see other people getting it and you're already I'm salivating over material design as the I just got the Gmail update and then my app in the Arena later on has got some great material design, and it's just like, and you just want, and Jason's got his Nexus 9 and it's running it, and it's just like you just see it around and it scratches that jealousy, and then yes, entitlement is a funny word, because I don't know if I would have thought of entitlement, but I guess it's exactly that, because as a Nexus user, I think I should have it first.
Yeah,
and it comes back to, what does Nexus mean anymore? And honestly, I'm not sure I have an answer to that.
Well, I don't think we've had an answer for that for years. I mean, I think it's been a moving target. For years, what does Nexus mean? It means whatever they're calling it at that given presentation or blog post, right?
Or what it means to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the quick update more a result of Lollipop being an important update in the eyes of manufacturers, or do you think this is just something that we're going to get used to? We're going to see faster updates by more manufacturers.
It's probably part of it, and I don't have any inside information. This is all just me pulling it out of where. But I think Google made a conscious decision that we need to help them get these updates out faster. It's been pretty evident that the manufacturers, even the non-Nexus manufacturers, have had access to code sooner. Yep. And you've seen Sony. Sony's been pushing both ways with AOSP. That's a really important thing that gets them in there. You have the Google Play. What was that?
I dropped my phone on the TriCast.
I love how it hit the take button.
I like how it
and took the censored graphic.
You realize you're never going to get Lollipop if you keep doing that.
Well, I have the Moto X, so I'm
oh, well, then you might already.
You're
good.
That's why.
You're fine.
See, he's jerk. Sitting around just throwing it around.
But yeah, I mean, there's obviously this conscious effort on the part of Google and the manufacturers and I hope the carriers, that's the big wild card, to get these updates out faster. And that's, I can't stress how important that is, but I also can't stress that they need to be done right. In the moment that one of these things gets pushed out with a huge show-stopping bug like iOS 801 did, that's a big deal in the other direction.
And I think it's, and I have nothing to back this up, but I think it's the confluence of two things happening. Like working to get the updates out faster, and then the fact that this feels like a big moment in Android history. I mean, all the design work and all the stuff that they've been doing. This is a sea change. This is gonna, forget what you know about Android. This is the new world, and so I think that they are putting an importance around this update. At least that's the sense I get.
I agree, and the other important thing to remember is that as of Lollipop, Google are decoupling the web view from the operating system. So you'll be able to update that part of the operating system of Android that apps use to show web pages or web content, which means that you'll have faster bug fixes to that component of the operating system. And then it gives app developers much greater scope to improve their app more quickly. So it's now based on Chromium and gets updated through the Play Store. So it's another thing you'll need to update more often, but it will improve your overall Android experience, which is...
Is that going to be tougher on you as an app developer, though? Or are you going to have to keep up with, oh, crap, they just updated it in Google Play, now I have to go check and make sure all my stuff still works?
No, actually, for an app developer, it will be much better. You'll end up not having the situation you currently have, where if you're an app developer and you want to carry on supporting, say, Android 2.2 or 2.3, and you have to make your content, your web content, compatible with that, you won't have to do that anymore. You'll just try and make it as web standards compliant as possible, if anything, optimizing for the latest version of Chromium. So for developers, this will be, in the long run, a very, very big thing. iOS still couples its web view with operating system updates. Android has decoupled that and will improve iterations of apps and services much faster.
Cool.
Excellent.
I did like your in our show notes here, it says the LG G3 Lollipop upgrade starts this week in Poland, which I thought was a new show on the Twit Network.
This Week in Poland.
This Week in Poland. So anyway, I'm sure on This Week in Poland they're covering the changes.
That's like a top story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the changes that Lollipop is making to SD cards and how they work with Android. This is a little case of Google going back on what they said before. You remember how previously Google told us that SD cards are confusing to consumers and developers and that people just want their content in the cloud. So supporting SD cards on Android was a thing of the past, and we're getting phones with that SD cards and that sort of thing. Well, Lollipop brings new developer tools that once again allow SD card slots to play nice with Android. New intents bring support for removable storage from within applications, including access to pretty much any folder on the card if granted permission by the user upon installation. So
it changes a few things. It's not that SD cards quit working. That that never actually happened. What they're doing is opening up what apps can do with the SD card. It's basically, it is reversing on things a little bit. And I'm hoping it's not going to make the mess that we had before. But yeah, it's absolutely not that you couldn't do it before. Now it's just apps are going to be able to work with more of the card and more of the file structure than they could do for the past, year or two, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. But this is very big news for developing markets or markets where network connectivity isn't regular and reliable. Yep. A lot of people share content not through a PC, not with other means. It's sharing little micro SD cards. That's how they share content.
And the Android One devices, exactly.
I was just going to say,
they have the micro SD card slot. Yep. And you know, when I first heard that, I saw the fact that it's a Google kind of sanctioned effort. And it has the SD card slot, and then coupled with this, it makes perfect sense. That's a big reason why they have to be doing it.
It's good. I just got to dust off all those micro SD cards I had at home.
Don't worry, they're inexpensive
wallet
if you don't have any.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's good. That's going to make a lot of people happy because, man, people, it's another thing people like to complain about a lot.
But there's still some work that needs to be done on the app developer front. I mean, if your app is not handling that in recoded for these intents to make sure everything is working the way it's supposed to, you might still see issues. So, and if you do, I mean, contact the developer. Don't just, complain on Twitter.
That'll never end.
The Google Play Store is a very good way to get feedback to the developer.
True.
And for the developer to get back to you.
I'm seeing that more and more, like as we're reviewing apps and looking at that, I'm like, I get lost for like a half an hour just scrolling through the comments and watching the conversation happen and like seeing how some people handle the irrational troll commenter versus the actual like, oh, you found a bug, thank you, we fixed it, try, really interesting.
I mean, I'm not
I like
a developer,
the transparency.
but I love being able to respond to those reviews in Google Play. And remember, it's a real person on both ends, but give me a hard time, I'm gonna give it back. But you get a lot of good feedback, and you can tell people, yes, we absolutely see that problem, we're working on it.
Yeah.
At Skyscanner, we had that issue earlier this year. A vocal minority of users who were using art on their Nexus devices or other KitKat devices didn't have the best experience with our app, and they were letting us know through the Play Store. So we actually brought forwards the whole process of optimizing our app for art, making sure the database part of it that was broken was fixed, and released that earlier.
Did you experience in replying and responding to those complaints, taking care of the issue? Did that then change the ratings? Because I think that's the other part of it too. Because so many people place a rating and then they never revisit it.
In the vast majority of cases, the user actually changed their rating to a higher rating, and actually we think that they appreciated our effort in fixing that issue and letting them know that we had updated it to have art compatibility.
The greatest thing in the world, whether you're a developer or a business person or anything like that, is responding to a complete irrational complainer and treating them calmly, politely, humanely, and then solving the problem. I can't tell you how many emails and things like that I've gotten from angry customers who've been like, thank you so much, this is great, I'm a customer for life now. Like, it's amazing how quick you can turn it around just by doing...
just a single reply will turn the tide.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm still waiting for Apple to get back to me because my iPod Touch 5th Gen, the Touch ID and the cellular just don't work on it.
Oh, wow.
So
no response or nothing?
No response, nothing. Apparently that update didn't fix those things that aren't on the device.
Oh. There you go. iOS humor. Right over my head.
That's okay. We're an Android show.
I know.
We don't know these things about Apple.
I focus on one thing. Well, speaking of Apple.
Over my head, too. I'm seriously clueless when it comes to iOS. So we wondered, speaking of Apple, actually, Apple Pay, the emergence of Apple Pay, is it going to boost the usage of Google Wallet? Because, Google Wallet, obviously, it's been around for quite a while, just didn't get a whole lot of traction. A source to Ars Technica tells the site that Google Wallet transactions have actually increased 50% per week since Apple Pay's launch last month. So early results, if the source can be believed, say that it is kind of changing things. Have you been increased your usage?
No, mine's stayed about the same.
I never use Google Wallet. Yeah. And, outside of on the web, going out and purchasing, it's just not something that is ingrained in me. I never do it.
Yeah, no, I use it. I use it when I'm not. Well, the problem is that places where I can use it, I'm limited to because it's pretty much, like Walgreens, which I'm currently boycotting. So I used it when I went to Walgreens, except they're awful and you should never shop there. So I'm not really, haven't really run into it there. I do look for it and try to use it when I can, but it's gone down, but not for any reason of Google Wallet. So.
I mean, you've got both sides of it. You have, just moms and dads with these Android phones that say, wait, can my phone do that? Oh, it can? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start using it more. And then you have retailers who are also saying, wait, we can do that? Okay, cool.
No one's ever done that.
Yeah,
We've been able to do it for 2 years.
And I wonder what the terms, what the costs, because I guess it's just a credit card, just MasterCard stuff, because there's always those fees and things like that.
Yeah.
So I wonder from a merchant standpoint, I should look into that. That's interesting. But yeah. So
Man,
I want to see
like Walgreens too.
I'm telling you, talk about customer service or lack of customer service. Oh my gosh.
There was a Walgreens across the street from my place in San Francisco, and yes, I know exactly.
And the thing is that I've seen Walgreens with self-service kiosks. Like if they put that in, I would be a customer for life because then I don't have to deal with their incompetent staff. And I've told them that as much, but they don't want to listen. So,
we're still waiting for the trickery and witchcraft, which are mobile payments and Walgreens in the UK.
Oh, you don't want Walgreens. Trust me, stick to Tesco.
How about
maybe the
Google
mobile
Wallet?
payments?
Yeah, Google Wallet, you can have that. Yeah. So, awesome. Cool. Well, so like we mentioned earlier, you guys are here for the Samsung Developers Conference, which is in my city, and I didn't even know was happening. So what's going on with Samsung at the Moscone this year? Anything interesting?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
I mean, Matteo was at some of the sessions today, and really, I think tomorrow's kind of the bigger day, right? We've got the keynote in the morning. We know we're going to see a lot of connected home stuff, a lot of virtual reality, especially, and especially if you're at the dev conference and you get to play with. And I'm not sure if they're demoing it. I'll have to look. But if you get to play with their little virtual reality helmet, with the Note 4, it's really cool. I've gotten to do it, and it's. You have to sit down or you will fall down. It's really pretty awesome.
Nice.
So we've got that. They're heavily showing off the Gear S because that's going to finally be available starting this week, I think, or this week. Yeah, this week. I mean, so a whole bunch of stuff, and Tizen's a part of it. Tizen. What did we decide on?
Tizen.
Tizen. I mean, that's a part of it.
I like Tizen though, but I never heard it that way before.
I'm really getting on board with Tizen.
I preferred their old name, Bada.
Yeah.
Just because if you used Microsoft's operating system, it was Bada Bing for search.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to get hung up on that, but if you look at it from the consumer standpoint, there's a whole lot of cool stuff out there. And I know it's a dev conference, but they've got one of the BMWs in there.
I saw, Matteo showed me, took a bunch of pictures that I think Bryan, they're up on his Google Plus page. I don't know if you have the URL, but the BMW i3 was there, their new electric car, which I've been drooling over, which looks pretty cool.
Yep. And it sounds as if the BMW i3 will have some sort of integration with the Gear S. I'll look into it a bit more in detail tomorrow.
Yeah. So for you, what is the thing that you're here for? Like, what are you most excited about when you see the schedule? Is it just being around all the stuff and being able to get your hands on the devices, or there's some specific track?
Well, as someone who works for a company that develops and has products that are both on mobile web and native applications, for us it's very interesting to see how Samsung have an ecosystem which goes beyond Android. So, in a way, in the tech media, in the blogosphere, we do give Samsung a hard time for TouchWiz and certain features that they have. But they have pushed the hardware and other aspects and the form factors to spaces where Android had never been before. Let's not forget, Samsung introduced the phablet with the original Samsung Note, where the pixel density enthusiasts went crazy, and they introduced the stylus, which had died with resistive touchscreens. So Samsung are innovating both on the hardware and certain software aspects.
I can complain about things I don't like about specific devices till the cows come home, but it doesn't change the fact that they've sold millions and millions of these things. So they're absolutely doing something right.
Through their carpet bombing of markets, through their advertising, they've created new product categories, and we have to respect that. If Samsung hadn't been around pushing the Note line of devices, would we have had a 6-inch Nexus device?
I would be okay if we didn't.
We can talk about that later.
Well, I mean, and it's interesting, like you said, that so they bought Smart Things, right? And so now there's a whole smart home kind of aspect to it, and really that's an area that I think has been more on the hobbyist kind of tinkerer side that now could go mainstream. I mean, like could go a little more, regular people doing home automation, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. The other thing is Samsung have a very modular approach to all the extra hardware features they're putting into devices. They're encouraging and pushing developers to use their libraries, to use their features that they're giving in the hardware, and integrate those into your native apps or even your web apps.
How do you think developers are developers receptive to Samsung's kind of, in some ways, walled garden approach to their hardware?
It depends on the particular developer. From what I'm hearing, some developers are loving certain features. So, for example, the split screen functionality, especially if it involves someone doing research or wanting to copy and paste content or move between applications, is very, very good. It's the only actual hardware platform that provides that, because all other Android platforms don't have a reliable and consistent split screen functionality. Other things that we see as slightly more gimmicky may come into their own, so such as the Note Edge's notifications panel. You do have to add a small SDK into that and call certain APIs, but that's very interesting for future developments.
Maybe how that develops over the next 2, 3, 4 years if they continue down that.
So if Samsung start providing that type of screen to a third-party manufacturer, let's say, for example, this is pure conjecture, the OnePlus 2 has a curved AMOLED screen. Those same libraries would come in handy to the developers developing for non-Samsung devices. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out over the next few years.
How long does the conference last? Through the end of the week?
It's until Friday evening, yes.
Okay.
So
awesome. Cool.
Right in the heart of Soma.
Deep in the heart of Soma. Awesome. Well, of course, like we mentioned a few minutes ago, Android Central. Well, you guys are there. You're going to be doing interviews.
We're an official media partner, which means I have to put on a suit and I'm not putting on a suit and tie.
Okay,
but
good.
no, we're live blogging the keynote tomorrow morning, and doing interviews throughout the week. It'll be pretty cool.
Excellent. Cool. Well, best of luck with that. Check out androidcentral.com/SDC14. For
that's
Samsung
2014
developers.
Yeah,
Exactly, 2014. But yeah, check it out and see what they have in store. Let's take a quick break and thank our first sponsor of today's episode. That would be PagerDuty. Welcome to the show, PagerDuty. This is an operations performance platform, and PagerDuty delivers visibility and actionable intelligence to help increase the uptime of your apps, your servers, your websites, your databases. And this is super important if you rely on your software and services to always be up. That's what PagerDuty is all about. It's an essential tool. As a hub of your operations, PagerDuty connects all of your systems into a single view where you can see critical events across all of your monitoring tools. There are over 100 ready-to-use integrations. There's New Relic, Keynote, App Dynamics. You can roll your own with PagerDuty's APIs. You can decrease your resolution time when an incident occurs. PagerDuty notifies the right team and member based upon on-call schedules and personalized alerting preferences. And if those alerts are missed, PagerDuty will actually automatically escalate those issues to another team member until it's responded to. Dispatch alerts by automated phone calls, SMS, email, push notifications, and that's all, in an effort to resolve incidents on the go so you can live your life. Even when you're on call, you can decrease the noise. Incidents are automatically filtered and deduplicated to ensure only actionable alerts are delivered. And PagerDuty's analytics tools will also identify common problems, allowing you to proactively make system improvements and prevent future outages. Super important. PagerDuty is relentless when it comes to reliability. It's fully distributed across multiple data centers and multiple hosting providers. There are also multiple contact method providers per method, so you never miss an alert. And even more important, you can customize it to fit how you and your team work. And that's regardless of your location or your size. PagerDuty is trusted by thousands of companies, including Microsoft, GitHub, Boeing, Nike, Pinterest, and box. So here's what you can do. Get the right engineer on the right problem at the right time. Just visit pagerduty.com/twit to receive a 14-day free trial. And for as little as $19 a month, you can increase your uptime with PagerDuty. When you sign up, you'll also be entered for a chance to win a PagerDuty exclusive on-call survival kit. So check it out for yourself. That's pagerduty.com/twit. And yeah, we thank PagerDuty for their support of All About Android and the Twit Network. It's great to have you guys on board. All right, we've got some awesome hardware. Let's get right to it.
I think we need to get like a robotic VO over the hardware bump. You know, like the news, like how we get the
Like
maybe
we can like auto-tune Bryan.
It is time for hardware. Like some sort of.
It is time for hardware. Yep. No, let's not do that. Okay, sorry, that was my really bad rendition of auto-tune. Did you?
It was really bad.
Yeah. How do you imitate auto-tune?
You
I don't think you can.
Yeah,
and you probably should.
Aren't we past? All right.
New show this week in karaoke.
Yeah.
Oh man,
this week in auto-tune.
I'd do that show. Okay, so let's start with the Nexus 6, only because I'm super excited to see it.
Me too.
And how could you miss it? Because it's gigantic.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. That's a Moto X that's sitting right here next to me. All right, it's not a Moto X. It's sitting right here next to me.
How long did it take you to etch Nexus on the back of
I
your
know.
Moto
I
X?
totally did that on the way here.
Crafty project.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a secret that these are out there, and a number of people have them. There's a reason we haven't been talking too terribly much about them, and you haven't seen reviews for them yet.
Right.
So
is there? Yeah.
Leave it at that. Yeah. I mean, I don't generally talk about embargoes just as a matter of principle, but safe to say it's coming eventually. Look, and I've said this before, and I think a lot of people have. It's a lot like a really big Moto X, and it's really big. Remember, Jason is 7 feet tall, so he's making this phone really small here.
Right. That looks normal.
Quite.
Yeah. I mean, there it is next to the Nexus 5. It is a big phone, and I have to keep reminding myself over and over how many times I've said that phone's too big. That phone's too big. That phone's too big, and then 10 million people go out and buy it. So obviously, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
See, I don't feel like it's too big.
See, for you, it's a great size, and that's.
This
I think
might
it works for me.
Do you remember? Do you remember, like old school All About Android callback back 3 years ago when you were in the market for a new phone? Had we known then that in 2014 they would create the phone that was made for you?
But then I wouldn't have been ready for.
No,
this
you
size
would not have
phone.
been ready. You would have been. Yeah, you would have said it's too big.
But then let's not forget the Sony Xperia Z Ultra, or you might correct me, the Zultra. It's a much bigger phone despite being a marginally bigger screen. So Motorola have done quite a good job of engineering a smaller...
Of keeping it as big, only as big as it needs to be.
Exactly.
The Lumia 1520 is larger than this as well. So I mean, there's absolutely a place for it, and just because it's too big for me doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be too big for a lot of people. There's a lot to like here.
Can you one-hand it? Can you use it with one hand?
I can, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, use it with one hand.
Yeah,
it just depends.
Right.
It's,
I mean, right there, it kind of looks like it's going to be really hard to reach that upper corner.
Yeah.
If you needed to.
And I mean, there's a lot to like here. There's a lot that's very much in common with the Moto X, and that a lot of that takes me back to the question: what is Nexus at this point?
Yeah.
If you have a phone that's very much like another phone that's out there, just bigger. Is it that special anymore? Is it the size that makes it special? Maybe.
It is interesting, though, that, and we're going to talk about the Nexus 9 in a second, but Nexus...
Fine, Ron, you can play with it.
I wanted to touch it.
Fine.
You gotta, have it in your hand to see.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean, yeah.
There's a certain design language to Nexus devices, at least, that have come out the last couple of years. And the Nexus 6 doesn't necessarily seem like it follows that mold.
This design language looks like a Moto
like you said,
X.
it's following the Moto X design mold versus the traditional kind of somewhat plain.
I really
Nexus
have to wonder if that gave them a platform that said, all right, we can do this phone that a lot of people like that's really, really good, and we don't have to re-engineer anything. It's not like they're coming up with a Nexus 4 that was this new thing, even though it was based off the original Optimus G. It's a Moto X. It's bigger. Okay, you know what? I'll spoil something I might be writing eventually.
Hypothetically. In an alternate dimension.
The SIM card tray is the exact same SIM card tray as the Moto X. I know this because I dropped one on the New Jersey Turnpike in the car as I was heading back to the airport and accidentally put the wrong one in there. Worked just fine.
Okay.
So they have a lot in common.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said for that. They didn't have to re-engineer this phone for a new Nexus. They didn't have to start from scratch with a device and do all the, you still have to do testing.
Your question remains. So then what is a Nexus if it's not a reference device both from design and from internals and all that?
Well, and especially looking in the Lollipop era, because this is not a 64-bit device.
Right. I know.
So what makes this phone special? For a lot of people, it's going to be the size, and I think that's a perfectly fine answer. For a lot of people, they're going to look at it and be like, it's a bigger Moto X. So what?
It doesn't have the customization options the Moto X has. So I doubt
So it's less than.
I doubt I'll be able to get a Mockadile version of the Nexus 6.
Don't doubt it. Believe. Believe.
You never know, man. You never know. Christmas is coming. Yeah, it's weird. Like I'm trying to use it as I use a phone, and I feel like I would drop this a lot.
You could probably get there, but you'd be nervous trying to.
I feel like I would cramp this muscle.
I've been using it for 2 weeks. I've gotten comfortable with it. There are times that it is definitely too big, and one of those times, to be honest, is when it's in my pocket.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's not to say there aren't other phones. It's just a little bit bigger than the Note 4, but I can absolutely tell when it's in my pocket and it's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So people are going to have some hard decisions. Now, unlike other Nexus phones, and I think this might be one of the things that makes it a little special, is you're going to be able to go out and buy this a lot of places. You're going to be able to go out and see it, not just buy it online and get it and be like, oh, wait, that's not really what I wanted. So we'll see, and I'm real curious to see what other people have to say about it. And I don't always go into new phones like that. A lot of times I just care. Yeah, I mean,
rounded display.
It's very much a Moto X.
Yeah, I'm worried about Google's pricing of the device because in the UK, the 32 gigabyte model equates to almost $800. And that's the entry-level one.
The Note 4 that I just bought off contract, 32 gigabytes, is $800. I mean, it's priced like a smartphone. It's absolutely priced, especially like a very large smartphone.
We've been spoilt by the last few iterations.
We
of the Nexus
absolutely
devices.
have.
I've adjusted my price range for a phone, and it is like $350 is that ceiling.
And as much as I hate the idea of subsidies, and especially, signing up for a 2-year contract in this day and age is just ludicrous. But it's going to get this phone into more hands that might otherwise not be able to get it at $600, $700.
Yeah.
And, the fact that there is an iPhone 6 Plus kind of enables minds to be opened for people who may never have considered a Nexus device before, don't even know what a Nexus device is, but they go into their carrier to buy one, and they go, see, you got this. It's the same design, body size, right? They're the same body size, right?
They're very close. They feel different. They feel
they feel very different. This is way more ergonomic,
and it kind of comes back to the re-engineering thing. I think maybe they have this phone that competes with a larger iPhone in that scale that they didn't have to completely re-engineer to get.
Sure.
Isn't it weird that they're both the 6? Like, are they doing this just to compete with the iPhone?
They're just numbers.
I know, but they happen to be, you know what I mean? It's kind of weird. Isn't that weird that we all kind of synced up on our numbers?
I think what's going to be weirder is what they choose next year.
I know, yeah, because where can you go? Because
they might have to choose
is the tablet.
6 Plus.
Yeah, 7 is the tablet. Yeah.
7 already exists.
They can't just keep going bigger, right? I mean, at some point, and I don't look at this like a tablet. And we've joked on our podcast that the Z Ultra was really a tablet with a phone attached to it, and I completely agree with that. This still looks and feels and acts like a phone. I don't pick this up and think, okay, it's a smaller Nexus 7. Yeah. This is still very much a phone to me.
Yeah. Cool. Well, just real quick here, we have T-Mobile, who, this is kind of weird. They announced earlier today that they were going to, release tomorrow or start selling it tomorrow or the next day, I can't remember. And then very soon after that, went on Google Plus and said, actually, we're going to put it off until the 19th for the best experience possible. Of course, people are upset about that, but honestly, if it's a matter of working out bugs or whatever they have to do with Lollipop or whatever it happens to be, I'd say wait.
Again, parsing my words, I think that's probably a good thing at this point.
And then AT&T says pre-orders on the 12th. Sprint says, or what's that?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's tomorrow. Pre-orders tomorrow. Sprint says get it on the 14th. No official word from Verizon yet, and that's of course here in the States. What is the status overseas? I mean, do you kind of have a sense of when you guys all expect?
In the UK, pre-orders start on Tuesday the 18th, which is next Tuesday, but there's no actual date on when the devices will be delivered.
Yeah.
No.
There's also a great uncertainty as to which carriers will or won't be carrying the Nexus 6 in the UK. So Vodafone and O2 have confirmed they will be carrying them. EE and 3 have not made any announcements, and all the MVNOs have also been very quiet about it. So it'll be interesting to see which carriers decide to carry it in the UK and offer subsidized plans on that.
It's really seeming like end of November is when we're going to start seeing these end up in people's hands. Because, I mean, I bought mine pre-order first day on Play. I don't know how I made it work, but somehow I made it work. And immediately it said shipping the 21st of November, which I'm kind of hesitant to trust at this point. I honestly, I don't know if that's going to be the ship date. I just assume people are going to start getting this in their hands towards the end of the month. So.
It will be interesting to see in the rest of Europe, in markets where Motorola is almost absent, if and how many Nexus 6s they will be sold. Because Motorola have been through a great reorganization since the Google takeover, and a lot of their sales staff have changed or moved, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Interesting that you bring that up. We have an email that talks all about that in a little bit, so it's a really good point.
Next episode of All About Email.
I love the intersection of these things.
It is.
Okay, so the other Nexus, and this I received, the Nexus 9 is right here. I got
the big word on the back.
Yeah, the big
boom.
Boom.
That's how you know it's a Nexus.
I went white on my devices this time because.
How come?
Why not?
What really?
I've had black devices every single time I ever.
Didn't they also have like an off-white, or they had like an eggshell?
The sand color is beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's not available yet.
Oh, right, of course. Yeah. Oh, that thing that's cool and different is not available.
And by the way, also not available, and I've been kind of railing against this for a little while, are the magic covers for them in the keyboard case, which
was a big selling point.
They're also I've used them. They're very cool, and you just can't buy. Oh, you have Skyforce on there, do you?
I almost brought that into the arena.
I gotta
tease for a future arena.
I gotta add you on that.
It's a lot of fun.
That
game is so much fun.
Yeah. I like this tablet a lot. I've been switching back and forth between this and the Nexus 7, and the aspect ratio bugs some people. It doesn't bug me as much as I thought it might. The size is taking a little getting used to, because you're going from a much more manageable, smaller 7-inch tablet to this. But, you know, light bleed is an issue, yes.
Yes, it is.
It doesn't keep me up at night. It's
no, it doesn't me either.
Can you point it out for people who might not?
It wasn't a deal breaker for me, but you can kind of see on the edge a little bit here.
Light bleed is, especially if you pull up a black screen, you will see light coming from the edges, and that's because the LCD in this thing that lights it up from the back is not being blacked out around the bezels as much as you might like. And yeah,
it might be hard to see.
It's pretty bright in here.
Pretty bright light in here.
They gave everybody gravity.
Yeah.
Did you see that? That was pretty cool. Sorry.
Hang on, don't tell me how it ends.
Yeah, I know. I haven't actually watched it. Yeah, okay. It's not coming through.
The physics are awesome. They're so realistic.
It's not coming through on video. I kind of expected that it probably wouldn't. You can still kind of see it.
I can see it sitting here.
Yeah, you can see it sitting here.
Change orientation, you might be able to.
What's that?
Because it's usually at the top.
Yeah, no.
The light bleed is one thing. Now, yours here doesn't have that weird depression in the back that mine has had. And I didn't bring mine with me because I don't have the covers.
Show it off. But,
yeah. I can feel just a little bit here, not as much as I have on mine.
I mean, yes, there've been plenty of animated GIFs and all that all over Google Plus showing.
Again, doesn't necessarily keep me up at night.
Yeah, again,
it kind of makes it not feel like an HTC device though, when you're coming from this unibody world to something that moves a little bit. Now we've heard that's actually in there by design, but I've also had plenty of people say that their tablet and these tablets are in hands, and that's a good thing. Plenty of tablets that don't do that. So if it bothers you that much, then maybe it's going to be a thing. Were you taking pictures with tablets?
Well, yeah, I kind of need to do that when I
Jason, you know better.
Believe me. Look,
I taught you nothing?
Veterans Day parade. I was running an errand, and I was like, I'll take pictures while I go.
You were the guy taking a picture of the parade.
At least when Jason does it, it's way above everybody.
Like I'm a crane.
That means that the 60 rows behind him can't see.
Sorry. I wasn't too impressed with the camera, but hey, I never take pictures.
It's a tablet,
anyways,
so.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, I mean, I reviewed it today on Before You Buy. You can find the full review at twit.tv/BYB. They're the full screen photos. I gave it a try, did not give it a buy. And that's not because I think it's a bad tablet. I just think that there are enough asterisks in the review, enough elements that some of the particularly OCD out there are going to be hung up on. The kind of hollow back, the light bleed.
It's a lot of money too.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's price versus quality of design. It just kind of feels like maybe, yeah, there we go. There's the animation that we've seen a lot.
That is such a good-looking finger, by the way. Just wanted to point that out.
I'm impressed by the.
Is that really a Nexus or is it a trampoline?
So I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say Nexus 9 is a bad tablet.
No, absolutely not.
I think it's a good tablet. I just don't think it's a no-brainer the way it has been the last few
If the
years.
aspect ratio bothers you,
I like
if the light bleed, if you're fine with that, awesome. If the light bleed bothers you too much, then maybe you don't want it. And it's expensive. The Shield tablet, you're going to get a lot of what you get here. You're going to get, pretty quick updates, I think. Yeah. Or at least you're going to be guaranteed updates for a little while. You've got a smaller, a different aspect ratio. You've got a much lower price. And you still have NVIDIA TK1. Now, it's a slightly different TK1, but it's still, very, very good tablet.
Yeah.
See, I'm very tempted by this. I don't know why, for some reason, this has caught my eye. And, like, I kind of want it. So I'm going to take it.
I do completely agree, though, with what you were saying as far as HTC build quality is concerned. I've grown so used to HTC devices being like tanks.
Yep.
And this doesn't feel like
manufactured by HTC, not an HTC device.
Yeah.
If you can make that. It's almost like it was a tablet made up by committee, and they just couldn't quite decide. And it probably was. Yeah.
Because that's kind of how Google does it.
The 4:3 aspect ratio screen will be interesting because a lot of app developers have optimized their apps through workarounds for 16:9 aspect ratios. So this might be Google's way of calling the people who aren't using Android standard design
to say step it up.
To say step it up.
And you can't get away with it like you could on the Nexus 7. And the Android Central app is a prime example of that. We can get away with it on the Nexus 7. It doesn't look great. Doesn't look good at all on the Nexus 9. And we're working on that. But so a lot of apps are going to have
not with your app, but with other apps where it's like the icons are cut off at the bottom and I can't quite get to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that may be the whole reason for this aspect ratio device is...
Well, and Google, is probably very used to hearing these complaints about, your tablet ecosystem, maybe that's another element of it.
There was actually an important change coming into Android 5.0, and that is these relative app design. Almost, you don't call it responsive, and I really don't like that word anyway, but they're saying design for responsiveness, really.
Yeah, it's adaptive design.
Yeah.
And using fragments, it makes it relatively easy for the developer. At DroidCon, I was attending DroidCon on behalf of Skyscanner, not last week, the week before, and Google were there in force. The keynote was delivered by Chet Haas of Google, and there was a lot of talks about material design on how this actually helps developers and makes it easier to develop apps. So big concentration on animated vector drawables, which means you don't have to have as many real images in your app. It reduces the size of the app and how it adapts to different sizes and types of screens. Not just tablets and phones, watches, televisions, cars, fridges, microwaves.
If you've never watched them, it's really worth going through. And I forget which YouTube channel it is, whether it's Google developers or some of them are on the Android channel. So much good stuff out of Google I/O this year, and a lot of it's over my head. But even just the little bits and pieces I get, you learn so much by them.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's shift gears a little bit into something that we don't have. I don't even know if this has much to do with Android.
I don't care because I love it because every now and then someone throws us a curveball and some of us introduces a piece of hardware we weren't expecting. And yeah, this isn't really Android, but it's kind of in the same kind of category.
It could be.
It could be. Yeah, we don't know. But
in an alternate universe, this totally could be a Google Now product, right?
Amazon announced a new product called, there you go, right in our wheelhouse, the Amazon Echo, which is for $199. As they describe it, it's a connected speaker with kind of voice control access. And Bryan also gave the actual straight up Amazon Echo website link. You can check that out. That it's the speaker that you put in your house that you can talk to like Siri, and they've got extra microphone and voice detection, voice recognition capabilities so that anywhere in your house it will drown out background music, it will drown out music, whatever, and pick up that you're talking to it and give you responses back, which is the kind of thing that I don't think anybody realized they thought they needed. but now they have a solution for it. Right? I guess if you don't want to, you know, it's kind of
just there ready to pick up your commands.
It's kind of Star Trek-y, you know, because you just kind of you call it Alexa and you say, Alexa, what's the temperature? Or Alexa,
who are you talking to, honey?
Exactly. But now here's my concern. All right, Brian, scroll back all the way back up to the top of that website. Here are the 4 bullet points Amazon uses to sell this: information, music, news, weather, and more instantly.
Oh, not more instantly.
Well, no. Controlled by your voice for hands-free convenience. Great. Excellent. Voice recognition hears you from across the room. Very cool. Connected to the cloud, so it's always getting smarter.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's the one that's like, all right, maybe we've gone too far.
I don't know what you're talking about,
As
Ron.
Amazon changes its name to Cyberdyne, and now this is the beginning. We let it into our house. This is what happened. Dun, dun, dun.
And it took the form of a cylinder.
Right.
I can barely get my kids to talk to me now.
Right.
Do I really want to put this little cylinder on the table that they can talk to instead of me? Hey, Dad, what's it like out? Oh, wait, no. Ask the speaker.
So it's
Ask Alexa.
You got to get an invitation to get it. It's
Anyone sign up for the invitation?
I did not. Did you?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I probably should have, but I feel like
If you're a Prime member, you can get it for $99. Everyone else gets $199, which is a little more stingy. But yeah, Amazon Echo.
$9. That's
Didn't even know we needed this.
yeah.
I'm sure that the UK version, they're still working on all the various regional accents to make sure it works.
Sure, yeah.
I don't see any sort of privacy lawsuits in the EU over this at all. No.
They're fine with
Are we
this
going
sort
to
of
crack this
technology.
thing open and just find a Fire Phone inside?
That's how they're
We
solving it.
figured out how to get rid of all these things.
Or Dr. Evil's Mini-Me.
Do not open. Don't worry about that.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking, right? Like, there is so much. I'm really
geez.
scared now, Brian. Please don't. You're scaring me. Nightmares.
What are you
Brian,
looking at,
open the door.
Jason?
I don't even know anymore. That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, there are not many differences between the Amazon Echo and the power of what you can do with your voice on,
Exactly.
on an Android device, for example, with Google Now. The difference is it's always there and it's always listening. At some point, maybe our phones become more sensitive to audio from across the room, and our phones end up doing this when they're plugged in charging. I mean, you can kind of do
say
that
one
a little
from
bit.
Motorola.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can kind of do that with Motorola, but this purports to be like, it's in the room in the middle all the way over there, and it's still going to be super useful. And I think the Motorola approach does part of it, but I don't know if it does the entire picture.
I mean, we're teasing a little bit, and we're also kind of giving more, I think, value to our phones. But honestly, this is pretty dang Star Trek.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about Star Trek, where more Next Generation, where they just say, computer, and then it's aware and it's there and it's around you and you're interacting with other devices. Like, that's kind of cool. Like you throw this technology into a TV with a display and that sort of thing. It could be the beginning of something
built
interesting.
into things that are already sitting in your room and not just a cylinder on the countertop. Like
Exactly.
a TV, that's actually a prime place for it to end up in.
Exactly. Or if you have your phone and you're not in the same room as where the weirdo cylinder is, and you can still interact with it via your phone, a la Chromecast or something,
Right.
because you're all on the same network. Like, it's kind of futury.
Yeah,
I like the fact that Amazon have taken the Google route, more the Star Trek approach to your voice-activated computers, rather than the witty Siri approach Apple has. So it's more of a very functional device, not as much wow factor attached, but it works better.
Yeah, and also this will all remains to be seen. Once we actually, once somebody actually gets to use it, and it isn't rather dorky promotional video, I might add.
Oh yeah,
It had a lot of
the promo
cringy
video
moments.
was really
I watched the whole thing, but it was kind of painful for me to make it to the end because the acting was just kind of border. I don't know what was wrong with it, but there was something wrong with it.
I like that they
It
have
was
a
cringy.
product of this caliber that didn't leak out ahead of time.
Yeah,
right.
no, I
you
love it
didn't
when
see
that
coming.
happens.
Yeah, exactly. Like when this came
That
out, I
was
was like, "What
Chromecast,
is
right?
this?"
Chromecast.
We had weeks to get used to the idea of a Fire Phone, and even then we didn't quite understand it. But we had weeks to get used to the idea of it and start panning it from the get go. With this, it's like, holy crap! Okay,
Even if it had leaked, would anyone have believed it?
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how does Amazon
looks like an air
benefit from it? Do they sell you products through your cylinder?
That's the kind of thing. It's like, well, we're out of flour. It's like shipping you flour, and like then the drone comes in and drops off.
Yes, and a drone.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
20 minutes later, drops a package. And,
Thank you, Amazon. All right, real quick before we move on here, Android Wear is about to receive a big update, 5.0, along with some newly designed Wear companion app, which we kind of saw some details leaking about that yesterday. It's going to bring things like advanced battery stats and management, storage monitoring. It's also something we've been waiting for. The official watch face API is going to finally hit, although that hasn't seemed to slow many developers down.
Well, we're going to have to see what happens because there are they're basically full-fledged apps that put watch faces on your phone. But at the same time, we've seen them offloading some of that work to the individual apps. Moto Connect brought new app faces to the Moto 360. Asus's ZenWatch has its own companion app to go as well. So I'm not sure that's the right way to go about it because it's one more app you have to deal with instead of being through the Android Wear app, which is, you're going to have anyway.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah. So there is that. There's also an undo option for accidentally dismissing cards, which is a problem I didn't know I had, but it's nice to have.
No, absolutely.
That's happened, yeah. Where I'm like, no, come back.
It's gone. Oh, I got to get my phone out now.
Accessibility options. OK Google command sorting based on frequency of use. That's pretty cool. And an improvement to the swipe down action that actually brings brightness controls right in from the swipe down.
They're so buried right now in the settings.
Oh, no, it's kind of ridiculous
why I have
where they are right now.
And
a settings toggle.
Yeah, the whatchamacallit, the launcher app I use has got it. If you swipe twice over, then it gives you way more control than the actual swipe down, which is, way better. So
you're forking your Android Wear experience.
Which, by the way, isn't even 6 months old yet. That's important to remember.
Not even.
Yeah.
Yes, it's maturing before our very eyes. And then Moto 360 in metal available now for $299.
No, this is the right. Jason's pointing at my watch. This is the regular Moto 360 with a pebble steel bracelet on it, which actually worked really well.
That's what they call a life hack.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, you can replace the watch band, so.
Oh man, I want one of those so bad.
It's an intended life hack. They wanted you to have the ability to do.
I know.
We're on Team Square.
I've got my Square pride. Yeah, we've got our Square phones on this side of the table. But
we're gonna watch this rule.
If Santa brought me a Moto 360, I would not turn it away. Let's just say that. Yeah.
All right. Before we move on, let's take a break. Snack break. This episode is brought to you by NatureBox. Right now, NatureBox is giving you a chance to get a complimentary trial box. Ron has it right here. A box for you to see full of awesome treats.
Are there figgy bars in that box?
I'm not sure.
I'm just asking.
You should dive in there and see what you got.
I like figgy bars.
You can get a complimentary trial box of their most popular snacks and just pay $2 for shipping. Drop the candy bar, drop those potato chips. They're not good for you, do? Well, we do here at Twit because we have NatureBox around here. Get delicious, wholesome snacks at naturebox.com. NatureBox has hundreds of delicious snacks. You don't feel guilty about eating them because they're good for you. They're better for you than all that other junk. They've got 0 artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners, 0 grams trans fats, no high fructose corn syrup. And you'll even find snacks with no added sugar and without gluten. So when you're hungry in the afternoon, you can do what we do around here. Grab a lemon pucker pistachios from NatureBox or strawberry Greek yogurt pretzels or mango orange fruit chews. I love how they name these things.
What was that first one again?
Let me see. Lemon pucker pistachios.
Lone Star snack mix.
Look at that
What
one.
you got there?
Barbecue
Lone
flavored
Star.
nut mix with multi-seed chips. I got the watermelon fruit chews here, which I'm just going to dive into if that's okay.
There, oh, yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
No,
all right,
please.
there you go.
Please do.
It's just
Enjoy.
it's that simple to open it. Look, boom, done. Now we're in. I can already smell the watermelon wafting from the bag.
It's good. It's,
Look at that. It's got
much
a
better for you
resealable.
than all those other snack options.
Seriously, no figgy bars over there?
No figgy bars.
Oh, I'm sorry. We might have figgy bars in the back. If you're hungry, you can have a dinner of figgy bars. So if you want to get in on the NatureBox action, you should, because it's pretty easy. We're allowing you to get started super easy. You can start a trial today and get a complimentary sample box at naturebox.com/twit. You can stay full, stay strong, start snacking smarter. Just go to naturebox.com/twit and check it out for yourself and see. Ron is getting a little too into his snack right now. We're doing a show. You
really good.
You can have like a snack, but you can't. Okay, fine. I'll have one. Thanks to NatureBox for their support of All About Android and the Twit Network.
Dried pineapple rings.
That is pretty good, actually. Really I can see why you wanted to go back for more.
So good.
All right. I'm going to stop smacking as I chew in the microphone. Let's check out some apps.
You know, you probably could have just totally traded Figgy bars for a Nexus 6. You missed your chance.
Wow, really? That's all it takes?
Wow.
Okay, noted.
Bold.
So, are the Figgy bars that good?
Yeah, well, they are pretty good.
So a little Chromecast news for you, as some games are now being added to Google's Chromecast portal, including Wheel of Fortune, Scrabble, Blitz, Monopoly Dash, and more. So, you know, we've been saying this is just a matter of time, but now Chromecast games are a thing, and they're out there.
I think Chromecast is the perfect kind of platform for bringing kind of like the board game up onto your screen in a pretty accessible way, I'd say.
I like a TV board. I mean, like it's interesting to see Monopoly Dash and like Wheel of Fortune and like these kind of like around the TV kind of group games like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
I can't wait for Risk on the
Risk
TV.
would be cool.
Oh,
yeah, that'd be
awesome.
very cool. Catan, that'd be pretty cool.
I'm sure they're coming.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Carcassonne.
There it is. So there you go, Chromecast. So you can go and check out on the in the Google Play Store and stuff. Actually, on the Chromecast site, they've got kind of a gallery of apps and games that you can check out.
Does that lessen your desire for Nexus Player?
No, I think the negative reviews for Nexus Player lessen my desire for it. To be
am
honest,
I the only one?
Did you like it?
I like it. I use it. It's $100.
I was so gung ho for it, and then everybody came out against it. Like everybody.
Well, what if everybody did something else?
Jumped off a bridge. Would you jump off
Let me say, people I trust, people whose opinions I trust, you know.
What does Cyanogen Mum say about it?
Yeah, so, I said opinions I trust. So there.
Cyanogen Mom's always trying to talk you into doing things that
you don't want to do.
They're good
right,
for you,
yeah.
Ron, but you just don't want to have to do it.
Skyforce on the Nexus Player. Just saying.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I do have one ordered, and I can't wait to get it to try it out for myself. I'm a little hesitant based on what we've heard about it, but you know, it's Android TV, and I'm stoked about the possibility of Android TV. So, and then let's see here. So this is kind of cool. If you ever wanted to do screen recording on your Android device, you've probably run into the fact that you can't do it unless your device is rooted. And now with Lollipop, they've kind of enabled you to do this natively. So apps like Kosh's Mirror beta app and the SCR screen recorder, which is another popular screen recording app for Android. Now, if you are running Lollipop, you can natively do screen recording of your device. This probably applies to a very select group of people, but I imagine developers are probably pretty excited about
Developers who are wanting to publish their apps to the App Store and have a demo video.
Yeah.
Especially if they're publishing to multiple markets with multiple languages, they have to takes multiple times. And sometimes in larger companies, it's not necessarily the app developer taking those videos. So having someone there doing the ADB screen record command can be a bit annoying.
It wasn't impossible before,
Right.
but yeah.
You could do it with KitKat, but it was command line stuff. So if you can do it natively, it makes the job easier.
That's really what it's about, because I can do it from the command line. It's not that tough, but being able to make it that much easier, I think it's a good thing.
Agreed. So, and I'm sure we'll see plenty of other apps that now will be able to do this.
And it's not that every app out there is going to be able to have its screen recorded. So, I mean, bank apps, you know, there's still this protected.
So developers can build in protection that prevents this from happening.
Absolutely.
And on the system level, it blocks that ability. That's cool.
So with Lollipop and all these new devices, there's just a lot of activity happening on Android, and we're getting all sorts of new UI and new functions and new ways. What is the one thing that Android is missing, though? What is the one thing that we need?
An Office suite.
Microsoft Office. In what possibly might be either a genius move or a desperate move, Microsoft is now making the mobile Office suite free for iOS and Android users. And there's an Android tablet for Office coming soon, which I get it. Like, here, take it. You take it. Just use it. But I don't use Office.
You feel it's desperate?
I feel it's desperate.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you compete with the whole Google suite of apps on Android?
For some people, there's a novelty factor. You will have to check out documents to be able to edit them and then check them back in. And that document will be blocked. So,
how long before you see Microsoft Office preloaded on carrier devices?
I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
That's the question. And then what happens to these other companies? And we've seen documents companies go under before. Mm-hmm. And is it going to become this Google Microsoft war of who can get on who can end up in the preload?
Well, then they'd both end up there.
Yeah, because Google's got to be there anyway.
Because what we need is more duplicate apps on carrier devices.
Totally. Well, I mean, I get not everybody has a Google account, and not everybody is as subscribed or baptized into the Google ecosystem as we might be or as I might be. But I just don't. I don't understand. I mean, I get it. If I was at Microsoft, I'd be like, we should just make it free. Like, I get that from a business decision. But as an Android user, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole, even if you paid me.
Especially when Google Docs handles Office and much better than it used to. And that was a big. Were you at I/O this year? You remember that collective that went up in the crowd during that point of the keynote.
I just said I wouldn't use it unless, not even if they paid me. I want to retract that because it depends on how much.
Because there's always a price for
Microsoft. If you're out there, if you're watching.
they heard you. They were like, we're going to reach out. Oh.
No, wait.
It's the price of multiple Nexus devices.
I'll be happy to be proven wrong. For a price.
Yeah, anyway. It does sound like something that they had to do.
It seems like, it's like we have this, nobody's using it, so let's put it out there. I mean, I get it. It just, I don't see it taking off.
Yeah.
That's all.
Let's answer an email. Alluded to this email a little bit earlier. Let's see if I can get this right. Lieven, Belgium, writes in to say, I'm writing to point out a few crucial differences between the American market and the European one, more specifically what I'm most familiar with here in Belgium and its neighboring countries. First big difference is your love for Motorola. That's what you were saying a few minutes ago. No matter how good the Moto X might be and how great an entry to mid-range phone the Moto G might be, I've never seen one in the wild. I work for a fairly large bakery, and I've never seen a Motorola phone showing up in the visit logs for our website. The more popular brand to replace the Moto X here is Sony, with steady Z2 and Z3 sales, whereas on the lower end of the market seems to be dominated by Lumias, especially with younger people, say at university. Windows Phone seems to have a very big presence. Reasons for this are many, but the main one is that until only 2-3 years ago, the subsidizing of phones on 2-year contract was not only never done, it was even illegal. The choice of what phone to buy is therefore even more guided, and notification just covered up the email there, even more guided by price than in many other markets. Thought it might be interesting to note that difference. Europe may consist of many small fractured markets, but focusing on a few of them can still make a very big difference for a smaller manufacturer. The only two reasons why iPhones still manage to capture a fair share of the market are the uniqueness of the product and its higher resale value. Anyway, I don't know if this helps broaden the picture of the international phone market. I thought it was a good email. I love perspective that is outside of our own, and I think very frequently on this show, because we're here in the States and we're so used to reading sites that cater to the United States Android market. We don't really get this alternative perspective, and it ties in entirely with what ties in.
Whoa. Now we're talking about Tizen?
Yeah. the Moto G running Tizen. Oh.
You heard it here first. But it ties right into what you were saying earlier. So does all that kind of make, do you agree with all that?
It does. I agree with that. There are obviously a few exceptions. The UK market, for example, Motorola seem to be approaching close to 10% market share from somewhere they were close to 0% this time last year. And in other markets, Motorola seem to be ruling supreme in a certain segment. But Europe's a very strange place because of certain regulations, certain markets.
Just in general.
Yes, we are a weird bunch, and I can say that from 2 points of view in Europe. So yes, it's true. In most parts of Europe, Motorola doesn't exist, but they did go through a very tough time. They had a reorganization of the company. Their sales staff moved on. We'll see how it pans out. But the Moto G and the Moto E are doing very well in the UK. I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen elsewhere in Europe very soon because of the immense value those handsets deliver compared to the price.
Does Motorola with Lenovo, does that kind of heighten that possibility, do you think?
I think it's a bit too early to say. Lenovo Rolla, as it should be known from now on, is going
Sounds
to
like
carry on
candy
trading
bars.
under the Motorola brand and may continue to take Google's direction of a limited product portfolio that sticks very close to AOSP. In certain markets, specifically in Asia, I wouldn't be surprised to see Lenovo carry on with heavy skinning of the operating system, close tie-ins with operators to get subsidies, and third-party market and distribution of software systems on the device. So non-Google Play devices in certain Asian markets will most likely be Lenovo with lots of customization. But it might be a good thing in that Motorola may infect, in a positive way, Lenovo and make them be closer to AOSP, the open source Android that we all love and use.
Right. Excellent. I should also add that Levin says, P.S., you're all invited for chocolate and cake if you're ever around.
Let's go.
I like that.
Levin,
It's important.
please
So all we
let
need
us
to
know. You're a ferry ride away from Edinburgh, so
All right,
we'll
cool.
be
See,
visiting soon.
so don't be surprised, Levin.
there.
Suddenly Matteo shows up at your doorstep. He's like, I'm here for chocolate and cake, please.
Well, I'm going to be on the other side of the pond next a couple of days.
This is true.
Let's see.
This might actually happen. And pictures, please. I want
There's
to
ferries
see how...
from Hull as well.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I don't know where that is, but okay.
All right, what do you say we dive into the arena a little bit? Battle. Let's do it.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
I feel like we should be given a mulligan, like a 1 week. I took a little bit of a beating last week that I think was unwarranted.
Let's just say the results this week surprised me and changed entirely from when we did when we ended the show. This was
did they? I stopped checking.
This was like total proof that you never really know at the end of a show what's going to happen, because the results that happen right after the show ends versus what they end up with after the fact could be different. Float Note was not the winner when we ended. It wasn't. It was firmly in third place, if I remember correctly. Very far behind. So, but Float Note was my app. That was 37%. So, yay, I got a win.
All right.
Second place was SoundCloud with 30%. Botanicula, or Botanicula, never say that right, 23%. And then Tidal, which at 10%. Which I think maybe deserves more than 10%.
I thought lossless, high-quality streaming, the app was nice, but Miriam's editorial, I think, kind of sunk me there.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Yeah, I know. It's fine.
It just kind of comes out of nowhere.
I'll deal with it.
I paid Miriam $10 cash after the show.
Listen, this is
that.
This is what happens when you're a proven Android professional. You're going to the arena. You know that you can't control the demo. You can't control the reaction. You can't control the audience. So I really have, I have no one to blame but myself.
It's okay,
so,
but you know what you can do?
I can come back strong this week.
Redeem yourself.
I can redeem myself, and I think I might. Once again, I was all teed up and ready to do one app, and then last night I'm like, well, let me just see what's out there. Let me kind of see if I missed anything. And I came across something which I'm not going to demo because it reveals a lot of personal information of other people. But I found an app called True Dialer by Truecaller, which is basically a phone dialer replacement. And not only that, it's really material designy. It's really pretty. And it works really well. I've tried a bunch of different dialer replacement apps, and they've always been kind of close. Remember, I did one a couple of months ago that was like, it's still in beta and that sort of thing. But this one is super cool. You can swipe left and right between the keypad and a keyboard, so you can search for your contacts. It's got a half-screen kind of design between the keyboard and your contacts above you. It gives you your most recent calls above the dial pad, and here in the demo video you can see here, if you swipe right you can go to text message people. If you swipe left you can get their information, like their full kind of person card. Really cool integrated live caller ID, so you just start typing in a number and it will search its database and out there in public databases and come back with a match, whether it's in your contacts or not. This is really kind of, I expect this app to get obliterated when Google gets around to fixing the dialer app. That's basically what, because this one is about as close to what we would expect and what we'd want out of a new dialer app as can be. Again, like I said, you got that division, that half screen between the keypad and your contacts. Easily, fluid swiping up and down and left and right of it. And it doesn't get in the way of you getting to your contacts of who you're trying to call.
Yeah, there are definite design similarities between this and the dialer in Lollipop.
Oh, is there?
There's
See,
some.
I haven't,
some.
Yeah,
Not identical by any means, but a little bit of the color.
Yeah, I mean
the division between the two
right.
segments.
And I'm showing Jason. I can't show you, but you see, like if you're on your contacts and you just pull down, you just start, like that. It's that flowing material design that kind of goes with, and you can go right or left. It's got the little subtle animations, and it just works really nicely. Yeah, exactly. So you can play the video again so people can see it, Brian. What was really impressed me was that first thing that it shows in the video, which is the ability to just swipe left or right between the keypad or a keyboard, which is something that you don't even think. You're like, oh wow, that's like, why can't I already do that? Like that's just it's to switch between searching for your contacts or entering a phone number.
Yeah.
And you can, what I think is also really cool is that you can filter I can show this because this isn't that bad. Do I have a screen here? There we go. You can filter what you want to show in your call log. So show me all records, show me just the incoming, show me the outgoing, just show me missed. You can clear all your calls. Like it gives you more control over that dialer, which I think is interesting. So,
nice.
So there you go. So it is True Dialer by Truecaller. If you're looking for a dialer replacement that is material designy, if you don't have a Lollipop yet, you haven't been able to get the new dialer on that side. If you're not going to, it seems to be compatible with a lot of other phones, and it really embraces the future of app design on Google. So
nice.
True Dialer, totally free.
Dialer by Truecaller.
Yep.
All right, awesome. Excellent, good pick. All right, Matteo, you are up next, and I like the pick.
Great, thank you very much. Now, the gamers amongst the audience may have already heard of Goat Simulator, which is an amazing simulator where you can be a goat. Who wouldn't want to be? So this is the Android version of Goat Simulator, which works great on phones and tablets. I particularly like Goat Simulator, not only for the gameplay, but just for their Google Play app description and their updates. As a tester, I'm always quite excited to see an app description where one of the key points is millions of bugs. We're only eliminating the crash bugs. Everything else is hilarious, and we're keeping it.
And that's pretty true.
The what's new updates actually say we've fixed one bug. We've probably introduced 99 new ones, which in my world is called regression. So this is Goat Simulator. I am being a goat.
How do you know?
Jumping around.
No, this is what it's actually like to be a goat.
This is what it's like to be a goat. You can headbutt things, people, cars, and as the app description in the Play Store says, it's pretty hilarious. So there we go. I've headbutted Biggie.
And that's all it takes. Boom. Done.
Is that a water slide in the distance?
Yes, there's a water slide. There are trampolines,
are fun.
jetpacks.
Yeah.
You can do almost anything a goat would like to do.
Like water slides.
Or
water slides, or
Goats
even
are
better.
crazy
The
about
physics
trampolines.
sometimes aren't perfect, so you get continuous jumping to insane heights. You can then crash.
Goats can really do that.
Yeah, of course.
It's true. They want to.
So this isn't a Scottish thing.
No, this is.
You can explode things.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's sheep. Sorry.
There's no Big Macs involved.
Okay. All right. Good.
So it's Goat Simulator. If you level up, you can then turn into a giraffe, I believe.
Oh.
Which is really what all
normal
goats
goats.
are
Right.
aspiring
Yeah,
to be.
which is following the evolutionary path.
Exactly. So Goat Simulator, it's available in the Play Store. It's $4.99.
That's
is
right.
that
That's
correct?
right.
I'll be honest. When the goat takes a spill like that, it's kind of disturbing looking.
It is,
Like when
but you know what?
goat
The goat always gets
falls,
back up.
Yeah, I know.
It's okay.
It's kind of like,
Michael Bay explosions are my personal
hold it up, hold
favorite.
it
So,
Like a CES Michael Bay explosion, or
no, this
Never
is
mind.
There you go.
This is the movie version.
oh,
so,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Somebody back there got it. I heard it.
My favorite is when you actually appear in between something and you can't move anymore because your polygons are actually trapped between something.
Yes,
And,
the physics engine,
that's great.
as said, is buggy, but they're keeping them because it's funny.
It is.
I'm still just picturing a goat laying around thinking, you know what? It's pretty cool being a goat.
Yes.
But what I really want to be
It's a giraffe.
is a lumberjack. No, that's entirely is a giraffe.
This seems like something Bryan likes.
Actually, me and Padre have done a whole episode about goats.
Just one?
It's true.
Just one?
It's the first time.
Oh, you
goats-
can't show that on TV. Oh.
Don't worry, he gets up. It's cool.
Oh, now he's a
totally
giraffe. He
fine.
was reincarnated.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Wow.
So, Goat Simulator is the first time it's been in the App Arena. I heavily endorse it.
Oh my
spent
gosh!
many hours on various flights playing Goat Simulator.
Ron, can you call the ASPCA on that fancy dialer of yours?
Horrible.
It's great on the PC. It looks like it's just as much fun on the Android. So
Yes, you need a goat simulator in your pocket.
And I haven't tried it on the 4:3 aspect ratio Nexus 9, but I look forward to doing so at some point.
I'm glad it's just a goat simulator, not the other one.
I'm going to change my app to PETA. Can I do that?
We need some balance in this Android arena.
You're totally going to get PETA email now, and for that, I apologize.
Please vote for Goat Simulator.
All about
goat simulator.
all
Best
about animal rights.
$4.99 you'll ever spend ever.
$5. That's impressive. I'll be honest. I'm slightly intrigued.
You know what? A lot of people have paid $5.
I'm
for
sure.
this game.
Yeah. No, it looks like went a lot into it.
It's pricey, but people dig it.
It's well reviewed.
100 to 500,000 installs.
That's
That's how many
crazy.
$5.
Let's do the math on that.
I mean, that's a wide swing, by the way, but still, even 100,000.
If it's on the high end, that's $2.5 million. That's a lot of money.
Well,
So
everybody wants to be a goat. I think
Yeah.
it's just proof. All right, so not shifting gears at all, staying in the same wheelhouse is
Yes.
your app, right?
So mine is not fun at all. It has nothing to do with goats, unfortunately. Well, actually, it kind of might. Depends on what's going on. So I chose, I figured I'm in Silicon Valley, more or less. I'm going to pick what is the darling of Silicon Valley right now.
yeah.
And that is Slack. Now, there's a caveat here. If you're just a dude sitting at home, you don't need Slack at all. But if you're a dude or a dudette, I'm going to get in trouble here, whatever. If you work with other people, Slack has other dudes or
dudettes.
other women.
How about goats?
or goats. This will work with goats. Slack will basically make it easy to work with anybody and everybody in a whole bunch of different ways. So we're showing the promo video here. It's actually a really funny promo video. It's worth watching. But I mean, it's IM, but it's done really, really well. And what really does it for me is all the plug-in integration. So you can have it call in tweets automatically, or if you use Trello for content management, you can have it call in Trello actions. Or my favorite is Slackbot, which is very much just a robot that responds to things that have been said in the chat, and can get our Slackbot is horrible. It is so foul-mouthed. I think it has a problem with old people, and I might not have programmed Slackbot myself always, but
Noted.
it's
Remember that when you're voting.
yes, no. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with Slack. I mean, you can actually make it helpful. So if you need to remember a team member's phone number, actually it'll be right there in their profile as well. But you can have Slackbot respond to things. Hey, are we having a meeting today? And it's meeting every day at 12 o'clock, and you can have a lot of fun with it.
Nice.
And what's really interesting about Slack in general, though, is that it doesn't have the world's largest amount of revenue coming in, but holy crap, Silicon Valley loves the team and the platform, and was it something like at least $1 billion vet? I forget what the number is. It's huge. It's ridiculous. So if you have a team and you're looking for a new way, to communicate with each other, absolutely give it a try.
And it's free, so
Yeah.
I've been using it on a couple of open source projects. It's a great way of doing instant messaging and having added value. It's not just the messaging; it's more than that.
Exactly.
So they just raised 120 million at a 1.12 billion valuation.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It's insane.
Good for them. Good for them.
They ain't no slackers.
And you could change it to Goatbot, I guess.
Yeah,
That should be your
good.
$1 million. Right?
I mean, I'm almost wow. So Google just searched "Just Crazy," the book by Andy Griffiths. For me, as I said, that's crazy.
Interesting. Anyway, it does tell you exactly what you need to know at any given time.
Too bad Gina's not here because I'd be curious to hear if her take on it from a productivity standpoint. And so, but yeah, I've heard nothing but great things.
And I normally hate productivity software. I'm not a productive person. I don't like being told what to do and when to do it and have people telling me when to do it. But Slack has almost made it not fun. But yeah,
it's almost edutainment, isn't it? Yeah, you almost
I hate it less.
Yeah,
put it that way.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right.
So that is Slack. Check that out.
I just always think of the Super Chunk song, which I can't say on the the
Yeah.
But Slack.
But we can show goats being run over.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's different.
Cut the goats some slack.
Oh.
Who brought the comedian?
Thank you, Brian. Okay, so my app is called Polygen, and it has very few installs. I think it's 100 to 5. No, okay, now it's 500 to 1,000. So it's gaining. But basically, what is Polygen? Polygen is a wallpaper generator. I know, it doesn't sound very sexy.
It's like, wow.
But I kind of like...
Show me more, Jason.
I like its approach. So it's all around polygons, right? So you can come up with randomness of your backgrounds. So I could, set all these random generate, and it's going to create... I'm doing something weird on my phone that's slowing this down.
It's like fractals.
Create different backdrops for either your screen. You can format it for, your YouTube cover photo, Google Plus,
that's
whatever.
Cool.
Your different devices that you have. You can change the cell size. So if I wanted that to be large instead of small, there we go. It kind of changes it around. And so you have all these controls, right, of the color spectrum, kind of the direction of those colors, kind of the fading, the gradient, all that kind of stuff. But I think what's really cool about this and where it can kind of get used is you can take a photo. So I'm going to go ahead and not take a photo of myself. I'm going to take a photo of you, handsome devil.
It's the beard.
Let's see here. Okay, let's see if that works. Why aren't you letting me go over there? Okay, here. I'm going to choose it now. Because apparently I can't swipe to it. Okay, so we'll choose the photo. We have recent. There it is. The hand might make it look a little strange.
Oh, it's not the hand making that picture look strange, my friend.
Okay, all right. So we'll choose small cell size, generate, and there we go. It kind of polygonizes the pictures that you put into it. You can make the things a little bit bigger. And depending on the photo, you can come up with some really kind of cool, creative outcomes. But
wow.
Ultimately, when I saw it, and then there are kind of preset settings for different social services and everything, I thought, hey, this is just kind of a cool way to switch it up if you like to change your avatar here and there and kind of make it look fresh. You've done the cartoon face, you've done the bald head mask from Halloween.
Why do you keep talking about me like that? Actually, your bald head was kind of freaking me out.
Yeah, it was freaking me out too. So
Jean-Luc Picard's was the best.
Yeah, that one was good.
I was pretty impressed with what people took that picture and did with it. But if you want to change things up, this is a way to do it. And you can kind of play around with it and come up with new, interesting backdrops for whatever devices you have. So pretty straightforward, pretty single purpose use, but I think it does it well, and it's a great way to kind of keep things fresh on your device. It's called Polygen Wallpaper Generator. Low install, and the design of the app is pretty great too. So I don't know.
It's like the Instagram of wallpaper apps.
I suppose so. Yes, that should be a tagline for them. I don't know. I like the result. Taking a photo and running it through it, I like what it comes up with, and that's why it caught my eye. So it's Polygen. Check it out. It's free. Okay. You can vote for your favorite app from this week's episode. Is it TrueDialer, Goat Simulator, Slack, or Polygen? Just go to AAApoll.com/187. That's AAApoll.com/187 and place your vote. Let your voice be heard. And we will check in on this next week and
Goat Simulator, there it is, running away with it.
See where it ends up. Goat Simulator, early lead at 40%.
Goat power.
Hey Brian, who's got your vote?
That's gonna be Goat Simulator.
That's what I figured.
Of course.
Thanks, Brian.
Of course. You go into the arena against Goat Simulator, you can't expect much.
I've never seen an app in the arena more. I've never seen not more. I always screw that up. It's an app perfect for Brian. That's all I'm gonna say.
It is.
Yeah.
It's right in my wheelhouse.
Right in your wheelhouse.
If I hadn't already bought it on PC, then I probably would get it for Android, but...
You probably should, though. You need to get better at it. You need to become like the world champion.
Goat master.
Goat master.
It's good to see that we've started off on the right hoof.
Oh, wow. You're really working towards that next show appearance.
I'm goating my way all the way to it.
Oh, boy. So Matteo, if people want to follow your comedic works online and off, well, first of all, thank you for coming back on the show.
Thank you for having me,
Awesome
guys.
having you back. Where can people find you online?
Online, you can find me at my personal blog, todoleo.com, Twitter, Todoleo, and Google+. I'm plus Matteo Doni. If you're attending Samsung Developer Conference over the next few days, I'll probably be the one wearing an Android t-shirt or a Skyscanner hoodie. And I also appear on some other podcasts and websites, do guest writing. So feel free to hit me up on social networks. I'm always up for a good chat. It's great fun.
I like the non-specific podcasts and websites. Like you never know where he's going to pop up. It's just like,
what do you know? It's Matteo Doni. Why? Who is
the
it?
parsley of podcasts. Just joking.
I was listening to All Things Considered, and all of a sudden Matteo popped up. It was like crazy.
Just a quick plug to March of the Droids. March of the Droids is the UK enthusiast gathering of Android people. And they announced yesterday that the event will be in March next year in Birmingham. So check out marchofthedroids.co.uk. All the details for the new event will be there. It's still speakers and exact pricing are still to be clarified. I'm hoping to be able to talk there again. If you check out March of the Droids, my talk from last year, amongst all the other talks, is now available on YouTube as well. So March of the Droids next year. If you're planning a vacation to the UK, probably the best time to do it.
I was going to say, going back to that email earlier, Birmingham in the UK, not Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah, not here, there.
The Birmingham in the middle of the UK. They've placed it there so it's the easiest to reach from not only the UK, but the rest of Europe and the world as well.
Cool.
Excellent. Well, Matteo, we really appreciate you having you back. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Making the trek all the way up here. And same to you, Phil. Really appreciate you making the trek up here for the first time.
I honestly have no idea how I'm getting back to San Francisco after this. So.
You need to ride. It's cool. The freeway isn't too far.
Yeah, it didn't look that busy.
A lot of cars ride past
I'm just going to walk. No, I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, so obviously people can follow Android Central's coverage of the Samsung, I always want to say San Diego, the Samsung Developer Conference.
San Diego Developer Conference is very different, involves a lot of tacos, actually. And I would love to cover that if San Diego, in fact, starts a taco developer conference.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
It does sound good. Cool. So what else do you want to point people to?
I just search me. I'm one of those weird guys who uses my real name online. Yeah. So Twitter, Google+, all that good stuff.
All right. Right on. Phil Nickinson.
Hey, there it is on the screen.
There it is.
Ooh, I see it. What about you, Ron?
What about me?
Yeah, what about you?
You can find me over at about.me/RonXO. That's where I got all my Google+, Twitter, all that fun nonsense. Or ronxo.thinkup.com. Just because Gina's not here doesn't mean we can't give ThinkUp a little pat on the back. Gotta love the ThinkUp. And by day, I'm over at Image Comics, at imagecomics.com, working on some of the best comic books in the world. And if you happen to be in the San Francisco area in January 2015, we've got Image Expo coming up. You can see Scott Snyder and Brian K. Vaughan and Todd McFarlane and other great comic superstars live in person on January 8th. So check it out.
Nice.
Yeah.
You have a cool job.
Have fun. It's got its moments.
What about you, Brian? Do you have a cool job?
I have a very cool job because I get to hang out with Ron every Tuesday.
Are you serious when you say that?
What?
Look at him like subtly bring up his own Twitter page as he's talking about himself. It's just like nobody's gonna notice. They're like, oh, what's going on here at Cranky Hippo?
Did you see that? Oh, because when I'm not doing All About Android with Ron Richards, I'm over doing Know-How, and one of the projects we've been playing with are these really cheap quads. I think we've plugged these before, and we attacked you with them after the show one time. But I finally bought my own and gave it a paint job, so that's all I'm going to plug. What about you, Jason?
Cranky_Hippo. for all that is Bryan Burnett that's he'll
Scary.
share. And you probably don't want to know what he won't share. You can find me. You can find me at about.me/Jason Howell. Follow my musical exploits at yellowgoldmusic.com. Do not forget, please submit some best of moments for this show, and that'll help me out. Oh, and also check out that site because it's still up. Yellowgoldmusic.com.
Why would it not still be up?
I don't know, because it's on the screen, and I felt like I needed to acknowledge it.
You said it's still up. I thought maybe you were taking it down or something.
He was totally surprised that website he made that's been plugging forever is still there.
Is that website built on Squarespace?
It actually is.
Yeah.
Yes. Did it look familiar?
No, it's very well built. It's a nice website. I like it.
Thank you. Squarespace makes it actually pretty easy to not know at all what you're doing and still come up with something that looks good, which is totally the case with myself. Twit.tv/bestof is how you can help me put together a best of episode for this show at the end of the year, which is fast approaching. And I have a lot of work to do on this show and a bunch of others. So really don't limit it to this show. You know, any of the shows that you watch, if there's a moment, a time that you remember from a particular show, you don't even have to know the exact time code, although that helps. Just put it in there. And that's really going to help me and other producers and editors out for making an amazing end-of-year episode for you. I'll also do another Android show on the network called Android App Arena. Sound familiar? Twit.tv/arena. Working on a viewer's choice episode for this week. Apps picked by listeners and viewers of the show. And so I hope that you'll check it out. But that's twit.tv/arena. And that is it for this week. Thank you once again for joining us. Thank you, chat room, for always being awesome. You can leave us a voicemail at 347-SHOW-AAA. You can send us an email. We're aaa@twit.tv. We're on Twitter. We're at Android Show there. We're on Google+. We have a community. We have an account. Just do a search for All About Android, and you will find it. At Reddit, we are twitaa.reddit.com. You can suggest stories for the show there. And then you can find all of our show notes and past episodes at twit.tv/AAA, as well as the obvious places, YouTube, iTunes, places like that. And you can catch us live every Tuesday, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, live.twit.tv. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week on another episode of All About Android. Oh, don't hide behind the tablet.